Good evening, it's Bronwyn here with another episode of Black Mental Health is Black Health. I have an exciting guest who will get a chance to introduce herself in a minute. But if you've been here before, you know we have to do our deep breathing just to woosah and decompress from the day. If you've never been here before, here's what we do. I'm going to slowly count in to four and you'll breathe in. I'll say breathe out and slowly count to four. And we'll do this three times just to give you that woosah moment to get over whatever cares the day might have had. So let's get started. Breathe in, two, three, four, out, two, three, four, in, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. One more in, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. Just that moment of woosah at the end of the day. How was that
Yeah.
breathing for you, Latosca?
Oh, it was good. Just what I needed. Because, like I said, I have been on the computer trying to finalize my book. So, this gave me a perfect opportunity to let that energy go and focus on this podcast interview.
All right, awesome. So tell us who you are, a little about yourself, and something cool about yourself.
All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Latosca Asberry, and I am a real estate agent and a writer and the author of Home Sweet New Home, a book about the new construction process. And so, something fun about me. So, there's actually two things. So, I like to do yoga. And I like to explore the trails at the nature parks.
Oh, that's cool. I will tell you about me and the trails. I always think I'm gonna get lost and I'll never get out of here. So
Just
that
go, just come back the same way that you went.
you have to remember the same way you went.
Well, just don't walk too far down because I've heard stories about River Legacy that the fire department had to come in there and rescue a whole group of, I
Oh,
think they were hikers or walkers. And I said, oh my goodness, no.
yeah, I get it. Well, let's jump into this. I first want to applaud you for sharing your story. You know, many people have mental health issues and they want to talk about it. It's getting a little dark out there. I hope it's not going to get too dark before.
Yeah, I'm ready to move it up to the light.
Okay, yeah, that's better because we need to see you, man. That's better.
Okay.
So, um, um, a lot of people have mental health struggles, but they don't want to talk about it. And
Right.
they'll only go to therapy, but don't tell anybody, or they wear therapy like a badge of honor. I'm in therapy. But I like the fact that today you're just coming to share your story. And the fact that you share your story may help someone who is struggling, and yeah, it's a struggle, and they don't want to talk about it, or maybe free them up to tell others. So, um, what even made you want to share your story today?
By me being a writer, one of my books covers mental health. And you don't hear too many people in our community that talks about mental health. But I mean, now it's starting to be like a trend that people are open and saying that, hey, I go see a therapist and this and that. And I said, well, you know what? Let me just go ahead and tell my story.
Awesome. So let's jump into your story. I
Jump
know
on in.
there have been issues, in different parts of your life. And I think you talked about your first notice of an anxiety was in your 20s. So tell me about that. Tell our audience about that because
Oh,
we hear anxiety, but you're telling a real story. So tell us
Oh
a little.
yeah, I'm gonna tell you some a real story about anxiety. So I was working late. No. I'll go back. So I was so my hours at the bank was like early in the morning. So and I worked on the weekend. And so when I would get up, people would get they were just now coming back from the club and some people were full, not most people, but some people are full, half sleepy or whatever it is. So I'm driving. I exit off. This is the time where they doing the construction by the ballpark and fixing it up and making it look pretty like it is now. So I exit. I think it was 30 in Copeland. I exit that.
Mhm.
I saw someone come around the bend real fast. I ain't think nothing of it because I'm like, oh, okay. Eventually, you got to stop. You see me on my brakes and the light is red, and they did not do that. So they rear-ended me and pushed me in the middle of the intersection and left me to fend for myself. Okay, so we're done with that. And so I noticed like late nights I would stay at work to try to make some extra money. And I was coming home on 30, same freeway, and I started like hyperventilating in certain parts of the not the hospital, certain parts of the freeway coming home. And I was like, okay, this was happening, starting to happen regularly, and this was not something normal for me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, my asthma is back acting a donkey. I said, well, okay, I gotta make an appointment to see the doctor because I got to get this under control. I got to go to work. I got bills to pay. I got school to go to and all of that. And so I went to the doctor and I was just explaining to her what was going on. And then at first she agreed with me because I was like, I'm can't catch my breath and all of this stuff like this. And so she was like, oh, okay, well, maybe it is your asthma. Then I kept continuing on with the story and she was like, no, that's not asthma, that is anxiety. And I'm like, what is anxiety? Oh, like foreign words. I've never heard of anything like that. And I don't think she gave me like a clear definition. But, before you know it, she reached in her pocket. She couldn't even get the pad out of her pocket fast enough to start writing prescriptions. And I'm like, well, okay, let me I trust the doctor and her advice. Let me go ahead and follow what it is she wants me to do. So I started taking the medicine. And, like I said, by it being taboo in our community, I was getting it mailed to the house. And
No, you
so,
wouldn't even go
yeah,
buy it in the store.
I was
Okay.
not going to Walgreens to go get it. And then, sometimes the mailman can be careless. And you know how a prescription bottle is. It got your name on it and got the medicine name
Mhm.
at the bottom. And you know us. Come on, we're gonna go straight to the internet and see what type of medicine this is. And someone was telling me, be careful not to let that medicine get caught up in somebody else's mailbox. And I'm like, okay, that is a important piece because it's like soon as you, as soon as it gets in your nosy neighbor's mailbox, oh, the whole neighborhood gonna know something ain't right with her. So I had to switch it. I said, well, okay, well, can y'all send it to the doctor's office and we'll go. I'll do it that way. I'd rather go pick the medicine up at the doctor's office. I feel much comfortable doing it that way. And so I believe the first one, because I wrote about it, I believe the first one was Prozac. And I was like, well, okay, because it was like the popular medicines that was out there at the time. So, and that's what she was, now I'm realizing that's what she was prescribing to me. Whatever popular medicine that was on the television at the time, that's what I was getting. And so I was like, well, okay, well, Doctor so and so, this medicine is not working. Then we tried Effexor. That's what it was called. And so
Mhm.
started me on a low dosage. And then okay, I was like, okay, this medicine is not working. She's like, well, okay, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to increase it, when you need it. And so I'm thinking again, trusting her judgment and her advice. I'm like, well, okay, this medicine is gonna work instantly. So again, if another, I'm still calling it asthma, if another attack come along, this medicine is going to kick in and it's going to stop. That was far from the truth.
Right.
Then she was like, well, okay, increase the medicine and increase the medicine. And then I, finally found the courage to start talking with selected people at work about it. And they was like, your body is immune to it. It's getting used to the medicine. So you're going to have to, figure something um, out. And then um, she said, well, okay, here is Zoloft. And I had the same option as I did with the Effexor. She was like, well, okay, when you feel the feeling coming on, increase the dosage. Okay, so I done that. And then Effexor, you would think a little old small pill that's not powerful. Think twice. It was more
Mm,
powerful than the Effexor. So I was coming home from the dentist office, and you know how when you at the light, and when the light turned green, and you don't go, somebody blow the horn. Well, I'm assuming they were probably on Zoloft too, but I was at the traffic light, zoned out. And I made it up in my mind. I said, okay, I can't keep doing this. Y'all are treating me like um a guinea pig. I can't keep this medicine is not working. This stuff is just not working. Let me just leave it alone. I stopped it cold turkey. I don't recommend people to do that, but I just knew that I just can't do this. And the medicine was affordable. Don't get me wrong, because it was on the $3 plan that they had back in the day. So yeah, I mean the medicine, they make it affordable for you. Then look, if you can't afford that, you can call in directly to the prescription, not the prescription company,
but
to
the
the
manufacturer.
yeah, and they will send it to you for free. I don't know if they still do that today in 2024, but back then that's how I was being able to afford my medicine. But yeah, but once I started increasing the Zoloft,
Hmm.
and it was just too strong for me, and I'm zoning out at the light. I'm like, this is not what you need to be doing,
Right. Well,
in
how
the
many
middle of the day.
different medications did you try?
How many medicines?
How many different medications, yeah, did you try?
For sure, I know one was Prozac, one was Effexor, and then the last one was Zoloft, and then it was a few in between there.
Mm.
So yeah, and they was
Yeah,
all
those
started.
were
Lorazepam was one, so they all ended with a pan.
Mhm. It's a
Yeah,
different
so
drugs.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
And that's the thing. And I always say as a therapist, it's medication and therapy, because even when medication works, it helps balance out your brain chemical, but you still got
That's
to deal
it.
with the issues that are causing the anxiety, which could have started with the accident because you were having, the same attacks and moments at that same spot. So, dealing with,
Mhm.
okay, how do I go down I-30 in Copeland and not freak out? You know,
Right.
yeah. And so what else did you try then? Because medication didn't do.
So once the medication wasn't working, and I was like, okay, my body is quickly getting immune to this medicine. So I stopped. I said, well, let me look into yoga, because yoga was an option that was out there, but in our community, it's the devil worshiping. We don't
Yes.
do stuff like that. So I left it alone. But once I said, okay, I'm done with the medicine, I got to do something more natural. And I said, well, I have to walk out on faith. I don't care what the Christians have to say about me practicing yoga. I got to go do something. They are not the ones that's having these
Mhm.
attacks. They're not normal. I'm going to the hospital, letting the emergency room know, hey, these are not working for me. And one of the doctors, and I'll never forget, he told me, he said, you keep having these attacks, they're going to affect your heart in the long run. And I'm like, no, I got to do something, because I'm like, I can't be in my 20s, 30s, and having heart conditions, and things like that. I got to get this under control, and I got to get it under control now. And so by this time, I'm working in retail, and I'm talking to some of the ladies who experience anxiety and depression as well, and they were telling me how yoga helped them. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let me, look back into it. And I
Right.
finally got into it. And once developed me a solid, because you have to have a solid practice in order for this to work. So once I
Mhm.
had a solid practice, things were more under control than they were with the medicine.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was more under control.
And so do you still do yoga?
Not as faithfully as I did because COVID came into play. Then once we came out of COVID, the place that I was going to shut down completely, and so and then I also in between that I was teaching it and trying to introduce it to our community, which is a hard thing to do, especially when you don't have people behind you backing it up, and so
Mhm.
I need to get back into my practice, doing it regularly, at least 3 times a week, especially being in real estate and just being a business owner, period. Because it's a lot of things, it's a lot of components that they don't tell you. All they do is tell you, oh, you get to make 6 figures. Yeah.
Doesn't happen overnight. So you found it useful though. So do you still deal with anxiety?
It rears its ugly head, every now and then, but not as much as it did when I was in
Mm.
my early 20s.
So let me ask you, as a therapist, I have to ask this. Did you ever try therapy?
Oh, yes, I did. I sat on plenty of couches. And what I will say about that is tell your truth or get close to the truth as much as possible because A, you're going to be wasting your money. B, you're going to be wasting your time. That slot can be for somebody else. It does work. Now, you do have to go through a lot of therapists because some might get it and some may not. Because out of all of my therapists, only one was a black woman, and that was it. The rest of them was white women, and I got along with them. Like I said, I got attached. No, it was two of them. So I got attached to the last one that was up under my insurance plan. I got attached to her, and we went through breathing treatments and things like that. So I guess the reason why I got so attached to her because she knew about anxiety. She knew how to bring out the different programs and stuff to help. Because other ones, we would sit up and talk, which was no problem. I'm down for talking and things like that. But yeah, you will have to go out and search to see which one will suit your needs. Not all of them will, but
Mhm.
you
I
have to
always
search.
say no one person is. I tell my clients I'm not the only therapist. We have to find one who works for you.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
Um, so you dealt with anxiety. What about
Mhm.
dealing with depression? Was that ever a part of your life? Because me and
So
first cousins, so often you deal one, you deal with the other.
and speaking of, because I fought a woman, not like physically, but I argued her down. I was like, no, they not. They two different things. She said, if you got anxiety, depression is right along with it. And I was like, you know what? I wish it was out there where we meet up at on Saturdays, and I wish I could go and tell her, ma'am, you were so right. But
And it
yeah,
doesn't have to be, but that's why I call them first cousins. They
they
don't
are.
go together, and you can have one without the other, but they can be so closely related.
They
Some
they
people, yeah, they're pretty close. They
yeah,
can overlap. They don't have to, but they can.
almost like brothers and sisters or twins. So that came along. Um, like again, didn't know how to identify that. Now my mother saw like behavior changes and stuff like that. Like, and when I say behavior changes, it was more eating. So I guess for instance, when we would go out to eat, I would want more food. And we just got through eating and I would want more food. Or hey, you gonna eat your French fries? Give me some of your French fries when I had my own French fries and things like that. And so she just noticed. Let me say how she would tell me. You have a chip on your shoulder.
Mm.
And so, it wasn't like straight up like depression, but she was the one that noticed the changes. Me, I was just like, hey, I'm hungry. I like French fries. And so, that was my thing.
And change in eating habit can be a sign of depression. It can, for some, it's I'm going to eat. It's that comfort.
Yeah.
Some I'm just not going to eat it all. I don't have no appetite. I
Yeah.
don't. No, I'm good. I don't want to be bothered. So, but it's a change either way. It can also impact like you're sleeping, and rest. I just, some people want to just sleep. The idea of someone who's depressed is this person who's on the couch and can't with a blanket over their head and can't get up. That's part of it. But it could be the other side. I just can't sleep. So I'm gonna get up and do this. I'm gonna do that. And you're
Yeah.
avoiding the emotion that you're feeling. So
Hmm.
it can go either way. What about you? Was your sleeping ever impacted?
No, no, I slept. I didn't have any interruptions under 18 or over 18. Can't speak for that now, but yeah, sleep was no problem. It was just that food. Me and
Yeah,
that food had a relationship.
it's real.
Yeah.
How young would you say your depression started? How young were you?
So I want to say I saw a therapist when I was in, I want to say the sixth grade when I moved out to where we meet up on Saturdays. And so um and that was when that's why I say, if you're not going to be honest, don't sit on the couch and waste your time and your money because it's not going to work. And and when you first go, you're not going to be open and all of that stuff like that. But you got to try to do your best. So yeah, probably around about the sixth grade, because not only was it the father thing, I think looking back, the big move, because we were
And what
so
was
we were
the father thing? Can you share a little of that with the
about
audience?
the big move.
The father and big
Oh,
move.
so the father situation was my parents got a divorce when I was 5, and I don't want to say like he walked out of our life, but we didn't have the best relationship. I felt that he moved on and he replaced us with another family. And I can't speak for my brother; I can only speak for myself. I felt like I was replaced by somebody else's child, and the her child got the best of everything, and I got the leftovers. And I felt that that was just wrong.
Hmm. And that is common sometimes, especially when you're young and you don't know how to express it. And
Right,
some people can go to therapy, and we do play therapy with young children in different modalities so they can bring it out. Because as a child, you might even have the words to say, I'm mad because my daddy left and I think he replaced me with another child. But it
right,
didn't be in touch with those feelings, but something's wrong and I don't like it, or I'm sad and I'm this. And in
right.
children,
Yeah,
you acting out behaviors where some kids mess up in school or they get into fights
yeah,
and just angry all the time. Why?
yep,
No, I'm angry.
yeah.
That can be what's going on. Now, what
Hmm.
was the big move?
So the big move was, my mom was wanting us to have a better education because the system that we were in, it wasn't the best, but she just wanted a better um, education for us, and so we moved to where we meet up on Saturdays. And so we stayed out there for a good 8 years. And then the reason why I guess the move played a role in it, and I didn't realize it, because we were moving away from our family, our friends that we established since we were babies. And so, well, it's mostly family that stayed in the neighborhood. And then you have your friends and stuff at school that stayed around the school. And then you have to uproot and go to a new city. And then you have to build those relationships all over again.
Hmm. And that's
Yeah.
hard. That can really be hard at any age. And again, for the child who doesn't have the words to say, "Oh,
Mhm.
I don't like that we had to move." And as a child, you don't get that vote anyway.
No, no,
So
well,
you're going to be uprooted. You're going to move. Um, you don't get a vote.
no.
And so often, parents weren't, 10 years ago, parents weren't sitting down and having this conversation. It was just, you're gone. So, yeah, you didn't get a vote. You were in elementary school, but it
Yeah.
can totally impact you. Um, so how were you went to therapy in sixth grade, and was that dealing with the daddy issues and move issues and all of that?
Again, I noticed the same pattern. So as I look back over all the therapists and stuff that I had, I noticed the common problem. Like once we start getting to the root of the problem, something happens and therapy had to stop. I think with um, this young lady, what did we do? She was a intern, and so with her, she was getting ready to graduate and go on. So that ended, and then once I became older and explored it on my own terms, it became to be a financial situation because I'm like, well, with those, that that co-payment is your responsibility. That's not, theirs. They can't waive that even if they try. That's your responsibility between you and the insurance. And so it was like, well, once I got to the root, you know, it ended. Now I did eventually get to the root of the problem when I started going to it's a university around here that has a counseling
Mhm.
center, and they offer discount rates. Do I recommend that compared to a private therapy? No,
Okay. Well,
because huh?
why not?
Okay. And I know that we all have to do our internships and things like that, but to me, it was more like I guess because it was overcrowded, and it was like, well,
Mm.
okay, you might not be taking my stuff seriously. You might be listening to me, but you're not taking it seriously. You got about 20 people out here in the waiting area, and this is not where. I mean, but
Mm.
if you don't have insurance, sure, go ahead and take that option. But if you have the option to do the private, go do the private where the waiting room is not crowded, because it almost looked like a county situation. That's exactly what it looked like.
Mhm.
Looked like the county hospital in a way, because it's like, oh, a bunch of people coming out, a bunch of people going in. And I was like,
And in that setting, you don't feel like confidential either. Too many people here. What if I see somebody? And that's the thing. But you're right. If
yeah,
it is a means, but now we have so many things out there to make therapy more affordable. There are different organizations, and I wish I had the name of this one. But if you need it, reach out to me, message me on Facebook or whatever. That offers free sessions for women. They'll pay the therapist rate,
mm,
pay for like 8 or so sessions.
okay,
So a woman just has to go and sign up with them, and they will pay for those sessions. That's here in the
okay,
Dallas area, and I'm sure they're different places. You have to be creative, and we have to be creative about managing our health. Period.
yes,
Uh, Mental
yes,
health, physical health, it can be pricey, but we
yes,
have
it
to
can.
be creative to maintain our health.
And that's what
Um,
hurts us, and that's why we don't have the uh the tools like our white counterparts that can go sit up and pay a therapist $200 an hour to go see somebody. In a private sector, we have to go to either the schools or our county hospitals. They have sessions and stuff too, but I'm just like, nah, that uh
And it just depends. Someone just made a comment that their grandson went to, that type of setting that you talked about in Mansfield, and it wasn't crowded, and they felt like they
oh,
got
okay.
care. And that's the other thing. Maybe you have, like you said, with therapists, you got to switch around and find out what works for you.
You
Well,
do.
we
Yeah.
have come to the end of this
Oh,
30 minutes really rather quickly, as I always say. It goes quick. And before I give you your final say, I always like to end with a call to action. And that call to action tonight is number one, don't be afraid to tell your story to someone. Latosca has put it out there for the world because once it's
yeah.
out here, it's out here. But don't be afraid
Evergreen.
to share your story because you may help someone. You also can help yourself when you're able to talk about it and just share it. It's like, huh. When you share your story, you normalize it for everyone. The second point is take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health, take
Yeah.
care of yourself, all of you. And when you do, you're better for it. And lastly, my point always is vote, vote, vote. Be an educated voter. We're currently in a presidential election, but that is not the only thing on the ballot. You need to
Right.
talked a few weeks about the top of the ballot and down ballot. You need to know everything on your ballot. You can go to vote411.org and find your ballot. Um, it lets you choose it. You can print it out, and that is a paper that you can take into the voting booth with you. So, no, you can't take your phone and turn it on and look at it, but you
Right.
can print it and take it with you. So, be an educated voter. One last comment you might have, Latosca.
Ooh, so one last comment about mental health. When you sit on that couch, tell your truth or get as close to your truth. Don't waste your money or your time because if you see I'm paying, we all paying the same prices for groceries, and you don't want to. I don't know what the co-payments are now, but that we'll say $50. That $50 co-payment could have went towards some groceries if you're not going to sit on that couch and tell your truth. Just sit on the couch and tell your truth.
Thank you. And that is so true. Tell your truth.
Tell your truth.
Otherwise, you're wasting your time and money. You're wasting the
That's-
therapist's time because we don't want to
Yeah,
get free for nothing. So we might as well help someone who needs it.
yeah.
Well, I am Miss B, the Black Couch Therapist. I am here to help you become a better you. Check us out next week. We'll be here again with another topic that we hope makes a difference in your life and helps things better for you. Bye now and have a great rest of your night.